All right, hello, and welcome to Pod Damn America, motherfuckers. This is Jake Flores, a.k.a. at Feral Jokes on all the internet shit. That's my internet name. Welcome back to the podcast. If you have been listening, if you're a continuous listener, sorry it's been a minute. Let me tell you why that is and what's happening. Basically, we started this show, me and Carlos Delgado, a few months ago, with no real political direction other than the things we believe in, and we got really interested in doing research on crazy antifa and all that shit. It was really cool. But Carlos moved to LA, and I'm also broke. We're like working class people. We're starving artists, idiots. So recording podcasts is troublesome business. Requires a lot of moving shit around, carrying equipment and stuff. So we kind of fell apart, Also went a little bit of winter depression, a little bit of like whatever. Kind of just put the show on hiatus because I've got a million podcasts and freelance jobs and shit like that going on. So I'm terribly sorry, but I wanted to take a little time to regroup so that when we did come back, we could come back in a very meaningful way. By that I mean that this show is going to come out every week. It's going to be consistent. It's going to be something you can listen to on your way to work or whatever. And we're going to do a lot of interesting stuff. We also wanted to bring in some more people because this show's run by comedians. Some of us have got some journalistic chops, but at our heart we're comics. So I wanted it to have like a more of a backbone than just me trying to tell everyone in the fucking world what to think about stuff. I'm an idiot, I'm a professional idiot, I'm a comedian, so I wanted to bring in some friends. So I brought in the very talented and funny Anders Lee and Raghav Mehta.
Hey.
Anders Lee here. Good to see
I'm Raghav, everybody.
Hi. You may know them from their podcast, which they sort of dissolved recently, The Left Jest.
There's no the, just to be clear. It's just
what the fuck,
just
Jake?
left.
I don't know.
We had a deal that you would plug the podcast and get it right.
Plug
the
your
dead
dead
Retroactive
podcast.
plug, yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the Pod Damn America, which is...
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no, thanks for merging. We did a merger.
Yeah, this is our corporate merger. Yeah, it's a big deal. Everyone's talking about it. This is like the Amazon Target of podcasts mergers.
Mm-hmm.
Check the Dow.
Yeah. Check it now.
Yeah, dude. So we just smashed together to make one big podcast, one big old podcast gumbo, so we can all sort of do what we're doing, combine audiences and all that shit, and just get this shit put out more because this shit's fun. I think we had a really good response from like all the stuff we put out in our last episodes and stuff. I don't want it to die, but I'm also fucking exhausted. I work all the time. I kind of do stand up. I write. We're all living in New York, the most expensive place on earth. So this is like the logical end to all this, turning into this like Voltron. Multi-headed podcast. Carlos also is still part of this podcast. He's not here tonight because he got booked somewhere else. But he's going to sort of like Skype in.
Carlos is busy being antifa.
Carlos is out there masked up fighting, babies. I don't know what
Yeah.
Carlos.
He's
the fascist babies of Berkeley.
I keep thinking about Antifa versus babies because that fucking racist guy on Twitter, or that racist child, got into. Remember, like a few weeks ago when that.
Oh yeah,
Keaton,
Keaton. There's this kid on Twitter, needed money, and so all these celebrities gave him money, and then he turned out to be racist, and then like people were like, racism should not be tolerated at any age.
I feel like a lot of children are racist, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
you're like young, you don't know what
Kids
you're doing.
are hilarious.
You separate by colors.
I was probably,
right?
I remember having racist thoughts
yeah,
as a child. Yeah.
Well, it's just you're an idiot.
well, you're dumb.
Right.
You don't even get the label. You haven't earned the label racist because you have no discernible worldview at all.
Yeah.
Not that you need one, but you
Yeah, people don't give credit enough to kids for being just inexperienced and dumb. You know. Like,
Yeah. So shout out to Keaton.
Keaton, come on the show anytime. Yeah. So before we get into this, I'll tell a little inspirational story about fucking street justice. If you've listened to our old episodes that we recorded on my roof of this building, you remember that. Whoa!
Okay, wrong thing. You're still going.
Oh, that was just the headphones.
Yeah.
I thought you unplugged us. Well, that's gonna sound dumb as fuck. Whoa!
It would be. Jake's got headphones right now. It'd be really funny if he was just listening to another podcast while he's doing this. So
Yeah, dude.
we'll,
I'm listening to
make up
Marin.
That was entirely my fault. I was like, oh yeah, this is the right thing.
yeah, you're just
Well,
listening to WTF.
We should make up a more interesting story for why you just yelled "whoa." Like, what should naked?
Yeah,
just
yeah,
ran
yeah.
in.
Sure.
Danny just grabbed my
that's what
dick.
Just started checking.
Whoa, dude.
Give me some of that hog.
He was asking for it.
Yeah. Anyway, my bike got stolen like 6 months ago, and I talked about it on this podcast, right? So if you've been listening, and if it's been keeping you up at night, what happened to Jake's bike? I'm here to give you some closure. I was drunk as fuck the other night on New Year's Eve and found my bike in the wild, which never happens.
So crazy.
Yeah. That bike that me and Jeremy Hammond talked about with the tiger stripe and everything, fucking found it. It was locked up in front of a bodega that is a 24-hour bodega, and it had these like new wheels put on it and shit, right? So I ran home, grabbed a chain, and threw a chain around it, and left a note, you know, saying like, "Hey, this is a 24-hour bodega. They're watching you." They weren't. I was lying. And you know, if you stole this bike, like, give it back. If not, here's my phone number, and just go ahead and, like, you know, call me. And I just want to know where you got it from, etc. I think it was the fucking person that stole the bike, because the next day, went back, they gave me my bike back. They unlocked their own chain. Street justice, right? I feel like a vigilante. I feel inspired by this to try and enact some change on this world with
Who
my
is
own
this?
fists.
Who is this cuck just that rolled over?
I don't know,
a
man.
single note.
I know, a scathing note. Well, I mean,
You could be lying.
I fucking certainly was
Yeah,
lying.
you could get away with it. Like, you could get away with stealing multiple bikes.
It's like, oh man, this guy means business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm like, can you just do this? Most bikes are probably stolen, so, you know, yeah, is that
That's
a move?
how Jake became a bike thief.
Yeah. Oh shit. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon.
You
Just
should just
comes all
steal
the way back
city
around.
bikes and like mod them into being more punk rock.
They're
Yeah.
so in this building we're in right now. I live in this big crazy like artist loft covered in graffiti, broken bullshit DIY punk space thing, and there was a waterfall the other night. A pipe broke, and there was just water just coming down the stairs like some weird Harry Potter shit. That's fun. But another fun thing about this place is that someone stole a city bike one time,
Nice.
and it was just living in our hallway. they just bashed the iPad out of the front of it. And, like, it looked like an animal that was like, I need to go home. Like, it was lost. But anyway, I'm rambling about bikes and stuff.
My friend, I think it was my friend, but he'll never admit to it. But
I'll never admit he was your friend.
yeah. He'll never. Yeah. But anyway, he was like known for putting up like fake Craigslist ads, and he just took a picture of an unattended city bike and just put it on Craigslist. It's like, hey, trying to get rid of my old bike. $300. It's brand new, kind of heavy, but please take it.
Yeah. Anyway,
So wait,
Well,
how long was the
welcome-
bike there?
well, I don't know. I mean, I think somebody wrote it out that night to go party, and then the next morning, I guess or that night, I don't know. The whole thing's a blur in my head too, because I was like,
Were you expecting at some point to have to throw hands?
like maybe.
Yeah.
I usually carry a bike chain with me in case I get mugged.
Uh-huh.
And that's my go-to is like I'm gonna be like an '80s like action like street thug person,
Yeah.
like a warrior
love
style
everyone's
person,
got
and
their
hit people
thing.
with a chain. Yeah. There was a cop there. Like when this went down, I looked at a police officer and I went like, "This isn't gonna work." But this has just been handed to me. This situation where a police officer's already here. So I went like, up to the cop and I went, just out of curiosity, like, say I found my own stolen bike. This is your job, right? You're supposed to, like, help people recover stolen shit. And he just looked at me and he was just like, "Do you got a fucking receipt?" And I'm like, I know. You're a cop. You don't give a fuck. 2 different cops told me basically to fuck off when I was like, "Look, I solved the crime for you. Just, like, help me, when the person comes back or whatever."
They got stats to keep up. You would think they would, like, at least arrest you for asking them.
Right. That's what I thought was going to happen.
They got POCs to harass.
I mean, it really, like, made me, oh, right. Every once in a while, you sort of, like, your brain gels back into, like, there are societal institutions that are there for a reason. And you think, like, cops probably do something good.
Yeah.
No. Fuck no.
They're there for a reason, just not any good reason.
Yeah. But anyway, I digress, and I'm rambling about my own bike. I don't want to harp on that too much. But fun story for anyone who was listening, who was curious about my shit. Try to fucking rob me. I'll pull some weird drunk detective shit, and I'll fucking come get you.
Yeah. So if you steal a joke from this podcast, we will lock another joke to it.
Yeah.
Leave an angry note.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, welcome. What's up, y'all? How are you?
Good.
How you guys feeling?
Good. Yeah.
I'm excited about Oprah.
Oprah 2020, baby.
Excited about drone Oprah. Dropra.
Yeah, we should talk about
Deepak
that.
Chopra.
I guess.
Oh, I wish.
What do you think are like the legit odds of Oprah actually running?
Running, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like people are treating this like if you raised an eyebrow at all at the concept of Oprah running for president, people are like, it's not really going to happen. But, like, we literally just went through this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
the guy won.
Yeah, I think if it does happen, it's going to be similar to Trump in that she'll make a lot of noise this election, like make it seem like she's going to, and then she'll, like, bow out. And then, like Trump did, she'll come in guns blazing in 2024 if she does do it.
You think 2024 is the year of Oprah?
Yeah, I feel like she's starting to tease.
Not 2020?
No, I mean, who knows? But
You don't think she could do it in 2 years?
I mean, she.
You don't think that a woman? That's the thing that's been killing me about this is, like, I feel like we've all lost our fucking minds, and it's I get why, but something as insane as the concept of a talk show host running for president, you're like, if you just go like, hey, I think I might have a note about this maybe being weird, like, people jump down your throat and they're just like, wow, wonder what's really going on here.
Yeah.
You know, like the whole identity politics angle of thinking about shit has gotten so pathologized and demented that, like, just merely questioning the idea that Oprah could be the president.
Well, it's even beyond identity. It's just cult of personality politics now. And, like, the people who complained about Bernie are the ones who are like, yeah, Oprah. You know, like,
Well,
fucking
yeah.
John. Like, and also people are saying no one's taking it seriously. Like, no one important. Tons of important people are taking it seriously.
There's an
And
article in Time Magazine's fucking
yeah,
story.
like
Was
Sally Cohn wrote a thing for CNN, I think.
Yeah.
John Favreau of our sister podcast fucking was like, he wasn't like, yeah, Oprah should run, but he's like, I'll always, side with the influential and inspiring leader over governing experience. It's like, really? You'll always do that?
Yeah, so that's why this is so alarming to me, because, like, things are being framed in this argument of, like, well, if you have any resignation about this or any apprehension, then, like, we've designed this journalistic fucking weird way of framing things and attacking you. Like, it's you just get, once they put you into the accusation of, like, that's coming from bigotry, that's just the argument. You can't really get out of it. But, like, it's really insulting because it assumes that you couldn't possibly have read a bunch of books and shit and kept up with the news for years and have some, like, complex political
Or just have common
argument.
sense.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
yeah.
saw what happened.
I mean, I think there are a lot of people legitimately who they just liked her speech, and so they were kind of like hyperbolically like, oh, Oprah 2020, huh? She's,
They did the
you
same
know.
thing with Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are, but it is clear she's thinking about it. And to me, like, I don't actually think it's necessarily bad to have a celebrity as the president, because I think, like, the presidency is largely a symbolic position, like, who the actual person, like, obviously I love Bernie Sanders. Hillary Clinton had a more complex understanding of policy. She's a better debater. Like, on the personal level, he's maybe not the best, but I don't think that really matters that much just because what he represents is so powerful. But with Oprah, she represents something that's kind of shitty, like, neoliberal. Her thing is to basically get people to make their lives more tolerable in this shitty system instead of trying to
the
change
people
it.
that think that this is like an invalid criticism, like, don't know what neoliberalism means.
Yeah.
And they think that you don't know what it means. They think it's like a made up.
Maybe I don't.
Somebody on somebody on Twitter today was like, neoliberalism is the new N word. They tried to make it it's only a fucking. They try to frame it as like people of color are neoliberals, and it's all white dudes that are like.
Quentin Tarantino's next movie is just gonna be using neoliberal all the time.
Is there a sign on my front lawn that says "Dead Neoliberal Storage"? Is there a sign that says "Dead Neoliberal Storage," motherfucker?
There's two kinds of liberals, all right? We're trying to have a nice cookout, and then the neoliberals come along. Yeah. Not going to go there, Anders.
Whoa. Dave Chappelle over here.
But there are, like, so many layers on layers of outrage about this Oprah thing.
Yeah.
Where I haven't really touched it too much, but my last update for the wokest position to have is like, okay, fine. Maybe you don't want Oprah to run for president and for legitimate reasons, but if you're more upset about that than, say, The Rock or some other celebrity,
okay,
then you're problematic. It's like, I didn't even know that was an option.
No one
would prefer
The Rock seriously.
Well, that's also just such a bullshit argument where you just bring a second thing into it.
Yeah.
And like, but you didn't also say, like, what, you're
how do you
accusing
feel
me of
about
not
Bill
having
Nye's bow tie?
Also, can I say something about that? The Rock is a fucking registered Republican.
He's a conservative, yeah.
Yeah, he like stumps for he loved like Mitt Romney and shit.
Yeah.
He's a he should not be president.
Right.
Like,
I would take Oprah over The Rock.
Yeah.
On record, we're against The Rock.
Yeah. Great in movies and shit. He shouldn't be we shouldn't even be thinking about this.
Well,
it's insane that this is even a thing.
The other thing is
Also, just real quick, before I even get into this, I got real upset about this the other day reading all this shit, and I was a little disturbed by the fact that The Rock's a Republican, and then I thought about it, and it makes sense because he's an idiot and he's got rich, and that happens to a lot of people. A lot of comedians get rich, and they go, wait a minute, they're going to take my taxes or whatever. So I started looking into other people like that you didn't know were conservatives, and discovered something very alarming. Big Boy from Outkast is a libertarian. Isn't that like the most depressing thing you've ever heard?
Yeah, but like if you've ever heard like Big Boy talk, like I
Yeah.
totally believe that.
No, it makes sense.
He's all about like pulling yourself up from bootstraps and like that sort of
Hip hop
Yeah.
in general just kind of is.
Yeah, I always say the worst thing about socialism would all the rap music would kind of suck. they're just like it.
But I'm not
And-
surprised that Big Boy's a fucking libertarian because like he's just some guy that just exists non-politically, and made a bunch of cool rap music and shit, and then made a very uneducated assessment of like why he thought that he rose up and shit.
Yeah.
Also, growing up like him, you're just not going to trust the government. with
Yeah.
anything.
But I understand that. I guess
Yeah.
when I look at like Big Boy being a fucking libertarian.
Most
By the way,
of those guys are like that.
By the way, he's now he's like a Bernie. He's just all over the place. He was a Gary Johnson guy in like 2012, and then he came back around, and now he's in a Bernie or whatever. But like, I guess my main takeaway from this though is like, regardless of trying to track fucking Big Boy's politics, like he's probably an example of somebody who just isn't political, which is a thing you can be in America, and that's why people have all these insane opinions. Is because like you could be somebody who reads all day and is really is real wonky, you know, and then your vote counts as much as like the masses out there who, for all we know, are just people that like watch TV and get all their information from TV and shit, you know.
Right, and we also don't like people don't think in these definitions of like moderate, liberal, conservative. That are like a lot of people who are self-described moderates will have like completely contradictory beliefs that are like way extreme. Like they believe in like no gun control whatsoever, but then they also believe in a maximum wage for CEOs. Like it's not this clean sort of spectrum of left to right.
Oh, I was just saying we should get back to Oprah.
Oh yeah,
I feel like we took a hard
sorry,
left.
I was rambling off real hard. Yeah. Well, I guess, but that is like why this Oprah shit is bothering me so much, is because like it. I think the problem with Oprah running for president is that it raises all these questions about how we think other people are really dumb. Like people that think she will win think like that they're smart and that everybody else in the country is dumb enough to vote for a celebrity, so that's why they should run. You know.
Do you guys think she would? I think she would win.
God,
I think it depends. I mean,
do you think she would like win in like Wisconsin and shit like that?
Yeah.
there are a lot of suburban
She
white
Yeah.
women, and you know,
People
Yeah.
trust Oprah, and
Yeah.
that name recognition. I mean, that's part of the appeal of Trump is the name recognition. Everyone knows who he is. He's
Yeah,
already
yeah.
one of the most famous people on earth.
you also don't. If you're the Democratic nominee, you don't have to do much to win in the president. Like Clinton fucked up big time. Like,
Apparently.
she didn't. You have to like go to Wisconsin. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
If she did that and like got the people who like her in Wisconsin to like tell them where to go to vote, which Clinton didn't do, then she would have a better chance. Clinton
you
or
you gotta be on a mic. But Danny said, do you think Oprah has a powerful Midwestern base?
I think so. I think among
I guess you're right. She probably would win,
yeah.
but that wouldn't be a good thing, though.
Well, she's just never
No.
been interpreted seriously politically, but like I think people would buy into the idea pretty quickly.
I think part of the
Like-
reason that people are so like into her is because they're like, well, yeah. I mean, it does seem like she would
The
win.
amount of time it took Trump to get momentum is crazy. Like what he announced in maybe August, and
Like
it was
April or May 2015.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
it was pretty clear he was going to be the front runner by March or whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
he was the front runner for so long, but it was because they were used to like the 2012 framework where you would have Herman Cain as the front runner for like 2 months, and people was like, okay, this isn't gonna last, and it just kept lasting. That eventually they had to accept it as reality.
Oh man, I miss Herman Cain.
Chucky Ducky, dude.
He was
He's
so
the funniest
fucking
man
good.
alive.
You ever see that?
He could have been such a great comedian.
He would have been a great president, dude.
Oh yeah, for sure. He
That'd
still
have
will be.
You know, everybody's always like, "Oh, Donald Trump's, must be great for comedy, right?" If you tell people you're a comedian, they're like, "Oh, this must make your job so easy." No, fuck that. Herman Cain,
Yeah.
he would have been good for comedy.
The people forget about the Pokemon thing, and that's like one of the
Oh,
that's like
yes.
one of the most insane things I've seen in American politics.
Yeah.
It's like Trump being elected, bringing Bill Clinton's accusers to the debate,
Yeah.
and then fucking Herman Cain and Pokemon.
Yeah. And then Oprah, baby.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, I guess the thing that bothers me about this Oprah thing, there's like folded layers of like weird, propaganda and accusations and stuff. It's like no one really thinks Oprah would be a great president. They think she would win, and they think other people are dumb enough to where they would vote for her, and they also are like, that's just better. Like, that would just be like an easy way of resolving this whole thing. Oh, it's better than Trump, right? Like, no one is like, Oprah's position on Israel. Like, I've been thinking, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I think the reason she would be what I would consider a bad president is because, and this goes back to the definition of neoliberalism, and for the sake of like coherency, I'm just going to give a quick what I think it is, which is you take liberal things we think of as traditionally liberal, like caring about poverty, education, those things, and you take the solutions to those as market solutions.
Right, totally.
And that's what she would do. She would put, you know, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in charge of the Department of Education, which looks great, but would be a fucking disaster.
Yeah,
So-
it's like, they've made wealth for themselves, so why wouldn't they be able to distribute that to the rest of the world?
I definitely think that that's like the definition of neoliberalism, and the reason I think that is because I think I used to think that, like, just before I got smarter. Like, I understand that there's a base sort of reaction you can have to American society where you go like, oh, this kind of makes sense. Like, it sells well. It's a good. It makes sense until you just learn more, until you start reading into shit, because it's our country's narrative.
Yeah.
It's like our country's mythology, you know?
Right, and if you look at the way this stuff has played out, like in the developing world, a lot of this money just goes to starting businesses. A lot of this money to eradicate poverty in Africa just goes to, like, new hedge fund startup in, like, Namibia that just
they're all
doesn't-
pyramid schemes.
Yeah.
And people act like trickle down is this quintessential Republican thing when it's like, well, Obama approved the Bush tax cuts, and his policies weren't that far away from this.
Well, also the thing about trickle down is that we all like pin it on Reagan and go like, yeah, you know, he tried to sell you this snake oil of like trickle down economics, and then we were smart and we figured out that it isn't true or whatever. But like liberals do the same thing with like social justice. Like they have the concept of trickle down social justice. Like if we elect women, that makes life better for women in America. How does that just mean they pull up other women and just hire, like, if enough women just hire enough of other women? No, you have to fucking fix just like laws that just affect.
It's the Sheryl Sandberg trickle down feminism approach.
Yeah.
Like, isn't it like the board, like the executive board of Pepsi, like one of the most diverse in the world?
You have fucking no idea, but sure.
That's why I think a lot of the challenge now is
Need an
getting
intern.
people to stop thinking of politics as an abstract thing, because it's not like, because, you know, if you look at the statistics, black people, poor black people are worse off now than they were before Obama. That's just like true.
Yeah.
You know, so if you stop thinking about it as like, oh, there's this guy I like rooting for, you know, regardless of the very valid reasons they have to have a connection to him, like, then we're going to make some progress. But until we, you know, and that's goes back to the celebrity thing, but until we wrest politics from this sort of personality thing, then we're going to be in trouble.
You know, I get so angry about that, and I think that's so true, because like I can remember personally thinking that was how shit worked. Like, you know, when Obama got elected like the first time, there's some part of me that I look back on and I remember just thinking like, well, wow, it's this big fucking deal, and it's this huge justice, and like, you know, not thinking about it too hard, just taking like a lot of comfort in it and going like, this is gonna make things better.
Yeah.
By these mechanisms that I'm imagining, like, oh, there's a black president,
Right.
things are gonna be better for black people or whatever. But like, you know, now I know it's not true, but I feel like people, like a lot of people our age, have come around because, you know, that they were like liberals, you know, growing up under like George W. Bush and shit like that, and you know, so we have this arc or whatever, but I don't know. There's also a tendency of leftists to try to pretend like, oh no, I didn't used to. No, I've always been this smart, you know. Because people are all often accusing us of being like bandwagon, like, oh, just because of Bernie Sanders or whatever, you jumped on all this shit or whatever. But I think it's kind of important. Everyone should have to be like, hey, here's all my old MySpace
That's how
posts
knowledge
and shit
works.
like
Yeah.
That's how you learn a thing and then you apply that thing to your life.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you weren't always into biking when you were 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I say that having been like an Obama supporter in 2008, because I mean, at the time I was really interested in Ralph Nader, who kind of like helped me form a lot of political ideas, and so I like took what he was saying seriously and like could think of Obama critically, and like was skeptical. But the fact that it was a black dude at the time was just so cognitively explosive to everything we had known before then, to think that the president could look like that, which now doesn't seem like that big of a deal, that you know, did it for me.
I think it's still a big deal. It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
It's just that with identity politics, it's that it's not that representation in this stuff doesn't matter. It's that it's just not enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's where a lot of people's politics end. And with Oprah, it's like people don't have a sophisticated understanding.
I think, Obama definitely broke some walls, but Herman Cain would have
A
smashed.
second black president
Yeah.
who's
A crazy black
Yeah.
president? Think about that, huh? That mentally insane person? Where's
what do you think?
justice for him? I don't know.
Who do you? It could be Oprah, but what do you think the next? When do you think we're gonna have another black president?
We're probably not going to have another president. I don't know. It's over, dude. We have like we have room for like 2 more presidents. I don't know. It could be like Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, honestly, like, if I'm being realistic and being kind of a pessimist, I think the next president's going to be like Kamala Harris or like Cory Booker or something like that. It's going to like fizzle down to being like a neoliberal. But then, like, also if you look at the nature
It's gonna be
of
Trump again.
these, like, I definitely think it's going to be Trump again. But
I mean, if he doesn't step down,
I'm optimistic.
or it would be Pence.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at like Jeremy Corbyn winning in England, you're like, well, okay, this is possible, and it might be the inevitable end of this. Like, we might actually come around and just elect like Bernie next time or something like that. But I just wonder if like our unique culture has made us so insane and pathologized that we will prevent that from happening by going fucking crazy and
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like the Democratic, like this core of the Democratic Party seems to have learned nothing, and it doesn't seem to be. I mean, 2018 is really the deciding factor of it all. Like, if things don't go right in 2018, like, it's over. There's no turning it around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think the good news about 2020 is those people are going to be divided. They're not just all going to be behind the same candidate. There's going to be, Harris, Joe Biden, maybe Cuomo, which he's going to get 3 people. But
Sure, at first, but it's like with every cycle, it's like they're gonna fall in line with the popular candidate, whatever is like most comfortable for them, And it could have been Bernie last time, but
I think it could be. Like, I've talked to people who were who were not fans of him 2016, who are, more cool to the idea going forward.
and then they heard about him like. Wait,
They
why
heard
did
about
they
his
turn?
raincoat.
Yeah, they
They
heard about
respected the
bashing
raincoat.
identity politics. Like, yeah, I love this guy.
Yeah, what the fuck is those people's story?
Yeah, how do they turn?
I've never met anybody who was like, now I like him more. Like, everyone, of course, I just attract people that want to yell at me about shit. Whatever. But like,
This guy I work with, he said he was a Hillary supporter, and he supported Hillary because he thought that nominating Bernie would have torpedoed what he thought of as the incremental progress we had made under Obama. So Hillary would have kept little by little making things better. But now he saw, because Trump is the president, he is more warm to the idea. And a lot of it comes back to this idea of what the president is supposed to be, and Bernie doesn't really fulfill that, but he does way more than Trump, So I think more people have an anything's possible attitude this time
that's
around.
cool. See, I don't ever think about that because I get like so like worked up on my own Twitter feed and shit,
Yep.
and my own Facebook feed, and my own like couple hundred people that I interact with, online in daily life or whatever, that I kind of assume everything is that they're representative of like the entire country, and I think it's really important and also really difficult to keep reminding yourself that that's just not fucking true. That's a lesson we should have learned from like 2016.
Yeah, most people are not still hardcore I'm with her people.
Most
They're
people
like,
also aren't even like political. Like they
Yeah.
just went back to normal life and like, yeah, whatever, Trump's the president.
like they cared for like 3 months, and then they're like, oh, I gotta fucking pay my taxes.
Yeah, I worked with this bartender at this bar like last year. It was during the Women's March, and she was a woman, and I was a man, and I went like I did this thing where you it was like a hashtag solidarity with women thing or whatever, where if you were working in a bar that day, you donated your tips to Planned Parenthood, right? That was pretty cool. And I told her,
Nice.
I told her about it, and I tried to like brag, and get her to like me. I used it to my advantage. I used identity politics like a horrible person, when I just turned, I'm just kidding. When I turned to this person, I go,
Better
hey,
than not doing it at all.
but I told her I was doing that, and she was like, she went, this is what she said to me. She was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh, there's a bunch of women marching on Washington because of Trump and his." She goes, "Oh yeah, they're like protesting against politics or something." I was like, "Oh right,
That
you're
person
not these people at
rules.
all. You're just like some
She
fucking
rules.
person." So
And you were like, "Fuck yeah!"
so you forget though that those people, as unjacked into the system and disconnected as they are, aren't fucking crazy I'm with her people any more than they're Bernie people. So you really can run a different candidate, and they'll just because they're just approaching it again for the first time. You know,
Yeah.
like a lot of people are going to go into the next election not having all this hangover from the first one. Some like a fucking ton of people are going to be able to vote for the first time. You know, that
Right.
weren't even, they were like in high school during
Yeah.
the fucking last one or whatever. you
Yeah,
know?
there's a lot
and
of
they're-
young people that are real sour on Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Yeah.
And even more now who are in high school who were in high school during the 2016 primary, and their introduction to politics was not Obama but Bernie. You know,
Yeah.
it's a couple mil. But,
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think he'll like. I think he would run and win, and I don't think they would really be able to like pull all the dirty DNC tricks again because there would be such a spotlight on them this time. So I think he might be our next president, but I know Trump will be our next president, or he'll continue to be
Yeah.
president. I don't know.
I think it would be Pence.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah,
I could
don't
see it
know.
happening. I could see like the Republicans pulling some bullshit Reform Act. It's like, oh, we've returned to our more competently evil ways, and then and then winning over some moderate dipshits. But yeah, that's just me, and don't listen to me. Listen to someone more hopeful.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
Anyway,
think he's-
Oprah 2020, man.
I think there's going to be a revolution in this world. Corbyn and Sanders are going to lead us out of darkness. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if
I
they
think
do
Warren
get
should run for
elected,
sure.
we're still fucked. You know.
We're
If
fucked because
that-
of like climate change.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
Like these structural things are so entrenched that like we're gonna need, and that's kind of one of the good things about him losing in 2016 is we have these 4 years to like prepare and organize for not just electing somebody but actually having a grassroots infrastructure that is going to advocate for policies and also just make communities better, you know,
Hmm.
politically. But
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I just like would not be surprised in the slightest if the country just took a huge dump on us again. I would feel dumb being like, "Oh, I thought this wasn't going to happen," you know.
yeah, I mean, I also thought Bernie was going to win in 2016, so that shows my like
Yeah.
rosy outlook.
Speaking of hashtag resistance people, something happened I thought was kind of funny a couple weeks ago. Since we've been gone, a lot of shit's happened. But Erica Garner died. That's not what I thought was funny. But something about it was kind of funny. Erica Garner died, and that's really sad. She was, a big political activist. She was Eric Garner's daughter and was a huge fucking Black Lives Matter person, very into Bernie, very cool person. But she had a heart attack, and while she was, like a Tom Petty thing happened where like she was declared dead, and then like she gave her Twitter account when she was in the hospital to like her sister or something. So somebody was tweeting
Pull
on
a
her
Tig
behalf.
Notaro, everybody.
Yeah. Somebody was tweeting on her behalf, and whoever was tweeting with her phone, who's still tweeting, I can't remember, what somebody in her family, came out and was like, "Hey, stop saying she's dead. She's not dead. She's
Yeah.
like, so for a while she was just like,
She was in a coma, right?
yeah, she was just like brain dead or something. But while everyone thought she was dead, Joyanne Reed was tweeting about her a lot, and just like really cashing in on her death and just going like, like really alluding to the idea that they were like real tight. And I followed Erica Garner on Twitter, and she made fun of Joyanne Reed a lot, because she has a lot of bad takes.
If I die and Joanne Reed starts tweeting about me, I want everyone to riot outside MSNBC.
Here's what I'm getting at.
The worst thing.
The funniest shit ever would have been if Erica Garner woke back up and then saw Joanne Reed like tweeting about her and was like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, we're not." You know, didn't happen, unfortunately. But like, can you imagine? Can you imagine if you just like, if you black out, you have a heart attack, and then you come back to life, and your worst enemy
It's like, oh shit!
It's like me and Raghav were such good friends, you know. Yeah, and I don't think they were like, you know, I think they like actually like kind of went down a wormhole reading their tweets with each other because I was like, this is wrong, right?
That shit happens all the time, man.
but I
like
think
with the Heather Hair thing too.
Yeah, I mean, well, fucking Joanne Reed did that to Heather Hair too.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, why do you keep doing this? Like, you'll only advocate for these people after they're dead when you can make fucking, you know, get clout off of them or whatever. She did this thing with Heather Hair where she kept going like, you know, let's not politicize this person's death. They're a political activist. They died fighting for that shit. You know, that's, you wouldn't say that if there was somebody you agreed with, but then she just kept going like, Heather Hair's favorite color was purple. Like, isn't that great? Like, no,
like
idiot.
my favorite movie, The Color Purple,
She didn't
starring Oprah, our next president.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
There are like tasteful ways to like, you know, give condolences to the family of someone you disagree with who died. You know, you can acknowledge that,
like saying
still
my
be-
condolences to the family.
Yeah, and
then
just leaving it at
yeah,
that.
going on with your life.
I don't think that like what she was doing was in like that poor a taste because they were two people that I would have, you know, would every once in a while go, we disagree, but hey, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
We're both on the same side in some sense or whatever. But the thing that really bothers me about it is that when the math on it is what makes it fucked up. If a radical leftist dies and a centrist then goes like, hey, unpolitically, I want to mourn this person. What they're doing is they're taking everything they do and they're rounding it back down to the status quo. Because what they're not talking, what Joanne Reed's not talking about is that because she's like a defender of the status quo, she, like, in doing that, makes a lot of people assume that all of Erica Garner's shit defaults back to what Joanne Reed believes in. You know what I mean? Because if it went the other way around, right? If Joanne Reed died and Erica Garner was like, hey, unpolitically, I just want to, like, talk about this person or whatever, you wouldn't go, oh, Joanne Reed must be an extremely radical fucking person. Like, they have the status quo on their side, which is why you have to talk about radical people's politics when you're talking about them. Because if anything you don't say gets defaulted back down to, like, you know, neoliberal fucking baseline shit or whatever.
It's funny how like cable news is like good now for liberals. Like they're like into cable news pundits.
Yeah.
It's like they literally watched 10 years of The Daily Show, and now they're just like, no, fucking Rachel Maddow. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's all right.
Because
fuck
now,
me Mueller. Yeah.
Because now there's so much piety behind what the pundits are doing. Now, unlike with Obama, like now they have somebody who's like calling them out by name on like the president of the United States, and so they get to think of themselves as really self-righteous for
They can unify around this
yeah.
like demon or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Weinstein was there was an ad that came out during the primary, right? That was like Erica Garner supporting Bernie Sanders, and it was a very moving ad about how her father died. And Weinstein, there was an email that came out recently that he got them to like take something shitty.
Oh, sorry. I blanked out for a second while you
That's
were talking
right.
about that, but I remember this. So Harvey Weinstein urged the Clinton campaign to quiet the Garner family.
Right.
For some fucking reason. I don't remember all the dots on
Gee,
this.
I wonder why.
But yeah, I mean, like Harvey Weinstein, who we all know is a piece of shit now, you know, fucking asked the Clinton campaign to quiet down the Garner family, and specifically like Erica Garner and all this shit or whatever. And like, you bring that up. I brought this up like, I don't know, a few months ago online or whatever, and it's like, I don't know why people like don't take that seriously. The like with Harvey Weinstein, you just like pick and choose whether, you know, the situation lends itself to you going like when I brought it up, people were like, oh, you know, she didn't know. Like, how would she have known? But then if it's a bad person, they're like, of course they knew. Like, what's the answer? Did everyone know about Harvey Weinstein, or did nobody know?
Well,
you know?
I think it's one thing when it's a candidate is mainstream and well known as Hillary Clinton's. Like, yeah, she's going to associate with some bad people. Like, no matter Barack Obama did over the years. But like when the
Herman
fact.
Sorry.
Yeah. When the fact that he started influencing policy and campaign strategy, like that takes it to another level where he's not just a donor, he's acting as like a makeshift political operative.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this person was in a position of political power, and that's fucking gross, and he was affiliated with these people for years.
But people are still willing to forgive.
Of course they are.
For that, like, why? What point do we go like, well, maybe because the argument for like Hillary was always like, you know, well, yeah, she's done all this horrible stuff, but that's what you have to do in order to get that far. And it's like, and it's all predicated on this idea of like trickle down justice, where like her
it's
being
like
the first
Hillary
woman
killed people.
Fucking literally heard people say that,
Yeah,
you know, like unironically, like a little bit ironically or whatever.
Well, Weinstein about Obama was saying things like he killed more terrorists in his short watch than George Bush did in 8 years. He's the true hawk. Like this guy, and that's something interesting about his psychopathy or whatever you want to call it. Is maybe maybe to some extent he really didn't did have an influence on campaign strategy, but it's also likely that they just didn't listen to him, or they like thanks, you know, for the email, we'll keep that in mind, and they just didn't follow his advice. But he liked to think of himself as this powerful guy who was influencing the shape of the world at that point, you know. And I mean, that there's this essay written by Thomas Frank about this, about how there's this class of billionaires, liberal billionaires, who liberalism for them is kind of a way of cleansing themselves of the shitty stuff they do to get all their money, so they get to like have these huge galas benefiting, you know, Clinton or something, the Clinton Foundation or some shit like that.
Did you see the story about Jerry Seinfeld hanging out the West Bank settlement?
Yeah.
With the Israeli Air Force? Fucking cool, dude.
That fucking rules.
But like fans of Jerry Seinfeld would just be like, yeah, who cares? Because they're just like, and I'm like a fan of that show, but I can also, I'm not such an idiot where I can't process like this is bad.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot, but not that big of one.
I would
like,
forgive him if he did an actual Seinfeld reunion and the setting was like
West
the
Bank
West
settlement?
Bank. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except Larry David, who's a smart guy, would not do that.
Oh man, Kramer is just
Maybe
like,
I don't know.
he climbs over the wall instead of busting in the apartment door. Jerry, you gotta see this stuff. I don't know. I'm trying to write the episode in my head.
He has
It's not
another
working.
scandal.
Yeah. Oh man.
Newman's in charge of the IDF.
Yeah.
Kramer has a meltdown at the racism factory. Didn't you have a thing about Clinton and Weinstein?
Oh well, yeah. Oh yeah. There's that clip of. Is there a way we can play that, or
Just play it into the mic.
okay? Well, there's an interesting. Well, this is a quote from like the year 2000. There was an auction that Weinstein hosted, benefiting AIDS research, and it says the private auction, the fashion show, were followed by dinner and a public auction masterminded by Harvey Weinstein, who this year not only offered a massage by Heidi Klum, but persuaded Kenneth Branagh and James Caan to take off their shirts and act as subjects for a demonstration of her skills. The massage went for $33,000.
Jesus Christ.
Karl Marx is dead, observed the director James Gray. So, I mean, I think it is significant that it was in the year 2000, because that, like, at that point, I mean, it goes back to the neoliberalism thing. People were thinking, like, yeah, we have these problems like AIDS, right? Terrible thing, but we don't have to feel guilty about it, and we don't even have to, like, change that much to actually address it. We just have to have these awesome parties that are going to raise a bunch of money that we can just kind of throw at it and then feel better about ourselves.
That is really like the biggest like neoliberal idea, man, is that like just throwing money at shit is how you fix it. Because money like is, you know, it makes sense on a really basic level. Like money is the instrument of power in society or whatever, but the real fundamental difference between like leftism and neoliberalism to me seems to be the understanding that the way to fix any of these problems is from the bottom up with changing the social rules and institutions that create these things, and the neoliberal answer is like, well, what about just for now we just create a fucking group and throw money at it and fund and donate to Planned Parenthood or whatever. And I feel like people are starting to understand it, but still fighting with it because the incrementalism argument is always there. It's always well, you gotta use crazy ideas, but for now, it's always for now. We gotta just keep things that way or whatever. But nobody gets behind that shit. Nobody likes it.
It's yeah. I mean, you can have a compromise. You can have some incrementalism as long as it's not self-defeating. As long as it doesn't end up not doing anything.
Yeah.
But this is a clip from a few years back. Harvey Weinstein got to take over the Piers Morgan show on CNN, and he dedicated an hour to basically finishing where Monica Lewinsky left off. He had Bill Clinton on, and this is a clip from that.
I have to tell you, I learned so much, especially about micro budgets in India. I mean, and how these women who were oppressed build companies. It's an incredible experience, and I just hope that for the audience out there, they do participate and they do support, because it's amazing to have it. Mr. President, thank you for being my guest tonight. I can't thank you enough for doing this. It's incredible. And as I said, I always learn amazing things from you. Hopefully they'll let us do this again, and we're just going to talk about movies the next time.
Disgusting.
Oh, God.
He's
About
just effusive.
Movies?
What a
Snuff
fucking
movies. Jesus.
Yeah, they've probably. I
What
don't
a
want to think they've
dork.
probably done awful things in a FEMA trailer to 16-year-old girls right before filming
Fucking
this.
regular trailer. Yeah, man. The idea of Harvey Weinstein talking about going to India and talking about oppressed women gives me the fucking creeps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just ingratiated themselves to each other and got to continue making the world more shitty with suffering under the illusion that they were doing the opposite for years.
Yeah, that never happens. Weinstein certainly wasn't compensating for anything,
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
If only there was a familiar archetype in stand-up comedy and broader culture.
Oh man, dude, I have such almost like a betting pool in my head of just who the fuck is next in comedy, who's gonna be outed as a fucking creep. There's so anyone that acts outwardly woke, I'm just all right, let's see what happens here,
Yeah.
Overly performatively fucking screaming about shit like that.
Some of them, I think, I don't think they necessarily committed assault, but they might just be shitty people.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
But that's just the thing that exists in broader culture, outside of even woke culture or anything. If you're a rude person to your wife, you're probably very pleasant around strangers or something like that.
Yeah, dude, that's why I'm a dirtbag on the outside, man.
Yeah, dude.
I'm full of gold.
Jake is a real nice guy. Yeah. He yells at me on the street, but he's a swell dude.
You slow down.
Just come out as Jake beating the shit out of me in a Starbucks.
Yeah, but I do that in public,
yeah.
which means that everything I do inside.
It's your rough exterior, dude.
Yeah.
You're complicated. You're flawed.
No, I'm a horrible person inside and out, baby. But I don't know what I thought that sentence was going to end like, but that's a good thing. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I really do kind of think that that's an admirable quality in people. When I meet somebody who's wears all their fucking faults on their sleeves and shit, it's the inverse of this weird virtue signal-y shit, That's why it's good. I guess I'm thinking about the dirtbag left a little bit and the openly kind of being gross. It's a signifier that you're not I just see through people. When I meet fucking openly overly woke comedians, I'm this is so obvious. You're so obviously, compensating for something. But,
Yeah, I called it with this. I won't say where it was, but I called it with this guy I met doing comedy, and he used to remember when that who was that female politician in Texas?
Wendy Davis.
Wendy
Yeah,
Davis. Yeah.
And that was great. And if you were a normal
The
person,
only female politician. in Texas.
Yeah. If you were a normal person, you shared a link about it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I was there, man.
Oh yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
And but I knew this guy who was like posting about it every day for days. Like, see how fucking.
And then it turned out he was a serial killer.
yeah. He was John Wayne Gacy. But
Yeah.
anyway, like, and then I was just like, yeah, I don't fucking know about this guy. And then 3 years later, it gets caught like manipulating and compulsively cheating on his girlfriend for years.
Wow.
Yeah, man, it's pretty easy to tell sometimes, but also people who act like dirtbags are also dirtbags.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Some of them.
Some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think everyone's just a dirtbag. All right, guys. Well, anything we should do before we wrap this shit up?
Everyone's a dirtbag is a good good theme for the
It's
show.
a good thesis for 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's a fucking dirtbag. Don't try to steal my bike. Trump will probably win again because we're fucked. No, that's not a good way to start off the year. Maybe he won't. How about that for hope?
I mean, set your expectations low, and
How about
we'll
no
be pleasantly
presidents?
surprised.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
No,
There's too much
it's-
importance on
it's
the
a-
presidents.
The office should be abolished. It's like dumb that this shit exists. Yeah, I think we can do it. I think we can end the
Get rid
presidency.
of the presidency.
Yeah.
With his podcast, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad to be working together as a podcast Voltron with y'all and also Carlos. Here's to the future.
Do some plugs.
Yeah, let's do plugs.
Fucking follow me on ACLU official, and then I got
You
shows.
just glossed over the fact that your Twitter handle is ACLU official.
Have you never processed that?
No, I know it, but you just said it like it was like not a big deal.
yeah, I'm the head of the ACLU actually, but yeah, I mean sometimes people still tag me. It was my Venmo for a while, and then they froze my Venmo account.
Oh fuck.
But yeah, follow me ACLU official. I'm doing some show. I'm doing Comedy Freaknik at Creek in the Cave, January 13th. Is it gonna be good? Come out.
Sweet.
You can follow me at Anders Lee here on Twitter, Anders Lee on Facebook, not the hockey player. I am going to be in Baltimore this weekend, so if you are following me, then you will see where you can see me. I don't have it up right now, but it is at a bar in Baltimore with Jordan
cool.
Raybould, very funny comedian.
Cool.
Check me out.
I did the sidebar there one time.
Just
Oh, yeah?
wander
Maybe so.
around Baltimore. and Just
Yeah.
hope to find Anders.
Yeah.
Check out the aquarium, and
Yeah.
I'll just be doing shtick to fucking bluefish.
So this is
To-
where Omar got shot.
Yeah.
To a puffer fish.
Uh-huh.
Just roasting that fish. All right. Cool. I am at Feral Jokes on all the internet things. You probably know that. I will be performing in Austin, Texas, at the Velveeta Room, January 19th and 20th. It's also my 31st motherfucking birthday, so come out, buy tickets in advance. It makes me look good. And we'll hang out and go to mugshots and all that shit. I'm also gonna be in. We're gonna be in Minneapolis.
Yeah, we're gonna be in
March.
Minneapolis March 23rd, 24th.
Something like that.
Well, more on it later.
I'll put shit on it. Me and
That'd be
Raghav are gonna be
cool.
in Minneapolis in a few
Yeah,
months.
my home.
Yeah, that's it. Subscribe, Patreon for bonus episodes and shit. And that's it. All right. Thanks, guys. Pod damn America, bitch. We're back.
Peace.
2018.
Bye.